The rhythmic pounding of the nails surrounded me, sealing me in. The last thunk rang out next to my left ear. I tried to get comfy. I was going to be there for a while. I brushed the worry aside. I knew I could get out of this. The sound of the splattering of dirt on the coffin lid got quieter and quieter, and then stopped. I made sure to wait a few minutes before I was sure that they left. My captors were smarter this time. They made sure to take my boots off before so they would make sure I wouldn't kick myself out. Since there was no other foreseeable option, I still needed to kick. I gently felt around the board with my foot, hardly even feeling the small splinters plunging into my feet and between my toe and toenail. The earth was already starting to cave in at the very edge of the coffin, so I positioned my foot under the soft spot. I calmed my mind as much as I could, and bit down on my shirt as to not scream so I wouldn't waste oxygen. I pulled my foot back and then kicked as hard as I could into the pine lid, instantly feeling my toes break and the wood shredding into my skin. I gritted my teeth, trying not to cry out in pain. I mentally readied myself for more kicking. I kicked as hard as I could, again and again, the adrenaline and desire to get out fueling me. The foot finally broke the lid off, right as my vision started going black. I caught myself before letting out a sigh of relief. I made the mistake of looking down. My foot was mutilated beyond belief. There was a huge, spiky splinter in the base of my foot among thousands of other smaller ones. 2 of my toes were hanging by a thread to the base of my foot. My other toes weren't even distinguishable up against the fleshy, bloody, mangled mess formerly known as my right foot. What I could only assume to be a toenail laid on the floor of the coffin. The sight was nauseating, and I was forced to take a few breaths so I wouldn't throw up all over myself. The end of the lid closer to my head was going to be easier to break, so I readied myself for the dirt that would pile in. I covered my head with my shirt and braced my hands to hit the lid open. After a few hits, I felt it come loose. I pushed myself out of the coffin and started maneuvering myself through the loose earth piled on top of me, and I smelled the dirt as it started to encase me. After digging and climbing, I could see a hint of light from above me. I reached my hand through the surface and pulled myself up, and then I was back in the coffin. I removed my shirt from my head and looked around. The pine walls surrounded me once again. I pushed my hands up against the coffin lid. It did not budge. I wondered if I had only imagined my escape. I looked down, and there was still a gnarled, mangled clump of flesh attached to the end of my leg. I pushed the vomit back down that came up my throat. This couldn't have been possible. There was only one thing that was certain. I had to get out again. I had to use my right foot again, or else I wouldn't have been able to walk. I could have only imagined escaping, but that didn't explain my foot. I put my shirt over my face again and braced my hands up against the coffin lid. I was gonna kick the lid open in combination with my hands pushing up against the header part of the coffin, hoping that it would make it easier for me. I exhaled my breath with each blow. After about 5 hits, it popped open. There was so much pain in my foot that I didn't even feel it. I pushed the lid up and started standing out of the coffin and digging through the dirt. I saw a hint of light again. I pushed myself through and finally reached the surface. The pine walls surrounded me again. I was so bewildered, perplexed, confused, I couldn't stop myself from letting out a scream of terror. I didn't have any more strength to get myself out a third time. None of this could be possible. The only sensible reason will be that I was already dead and my spirit was just trying to escape its eternal prison. Despite all of the pain I was feeling, I didn't feel like dying. I realized that no matter how much I screamed, I didn't lose any oxygen. I tried to get comfy. I was going to be there for a while.